Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. I'm Charles Klain. In this video, I'm going to be comparing Spotify versus Apple Music and why you might choose Spotify over Apple Music in some situations. Both have their benefits, both have their pitfalls. I'm a singer-songwriter myself. You can check out some of my own music. Let me know what you think in a comment, but I listen to a lot of music, and for the last 10 years, I had about 7 years on Apple Music and 3 of the years on Spotify, and the last 3 have been Spotify. So I have quite a good grounding on the benefits and pitfalls of both, and I'm gonna go through those with you now. If you're new here, punch the subscribe button. I post weekly videos, reviews, and some vlogs about my singer-songwriter career as well. So let's get into it though. Spotify versus Apple Music. How I want to break down the comparison of Spotify versus Apple Music is by going over some categories. The categories are features, music of course, price, artist, and devices. I'll give you enough so you can understand the benefits and pitfalls of each platform. First and most important is music. Right off the bat, Apple Music has more songs than Spotify. Apple Music to date has about 45 million songs. Spotify has about 35 million. You're only going to really notice that if you have a very niche interest in music. If you listen to pop music, then you will have no problem. Both platforms will have Justin Bieber and Ariana Grande. If you're interested in, I don't know, crazy unknown artists that maybe you listened to in the 1920s, Apple Music might have it, Spotify might have it. But there is also a chance that both platforms don't have the song because they don't have every single song that was ever written or played in the world. So, good thing to know, but not that important if you just listen to pop music. The biggest differences are the algorithms and the computer systems that lie underneath Apple Music and Spotify. So, if we're going to compare Spotify versus Apple Music, in the discoverability of new music, I would say that Spotify is the clear winner. Here is why. Spotify can recommend music to you that you have never heard before that are aligned with your interests of the current music that you listen to on Spotify. For example, if you're listening to Justin Bieber and Ariana Grande, they are going to give you recommendations that sound like Justin Bieber and Ariana Grande, but may not be that big yet. So it could be an artist from Germany who sounds like Justin Bieber, but she isn't that big yet. So it's going to be put on your radar and you can find out about this artist. These specific playlists are called Discover Weekly and they're put on your Spotify profile. So every day you can go into your Discover Weekly playlist and check out new music that you have never heard before from new artists, but they are in line with your similar interests. Versus Apple Music, their algorithms of recommending new music to you aren't as strong, in my opinion, as Spotify. Now, Apple Music does have some type of a recommendation engine where they do put music in front of you that you have hearted or shared, and their recommendations do work. In my experiences, when I'm on Apple Music, the music they're recommending to me that they think I would like just doesn't fit my interest as much as the recommendations that have happened on Spotify, which align with my interests much more. Both platforms have the social sharing aspect to it. You can have a profile on Spotify, you can have a user profile on Apple Music. The social aspect of music is more prevalent on Spotify because they have these things that you can follow your friends and you can see what your friends are listening to in real time. So if I look on Spotify right now, I can see that my friend Steve is listening to Mozart or something. It's interesting to know what your friends are listening to in real time. When it comes to Apple Music, you can follow your friends and see what they're listening to, but not in real time. So that's a feature that Spotify has that is really cool versus Apple Music they do not have. Last thing when it comes to the category of music is general playlists. Both platforms do this really well. Both have platforms based around mood, for example, workout, yoga music, meditation music, high pump up music, party music, relaxing music. Both platforms will have a lot of music based around moods, and they're very good. And actually, a lot of the songs in those mood playlists are the same on Spotify and Apple Music. So you're going to get a lot of mood playlists, you're going to get a lot of top 40, top 50, global hits. The biggest difference when it comes to playlists are Spotify have these playlists called collaborative playlists. So I can start a playlist and you can add a song to it, and then every week we can add a new song that we both like. And at the end of the week or at the end of the month, we'll have a nice list of songs that both of us have never heard before. And other random people can also add songs to this playlist. This is something that Apple Music doesn't have. So it's great for the discoverability of new music, or if you want to see what your other friends are listening to, or even the artists that you like. For example, if you're a fan of Neil Young, maybe he can start a playlist and make it collaborative of his music that he's listening to this summer. And he puts a list of songs, and you can follow that playlist and listen to the songs that Neil Young is listening to, which is really cool and something that Apple Music doesn't have. So wrap up on the category of music. When it comes to the discoverability of new music, Spotify is a clear winner there. If you just listen to pop music and you don't really care about new upcoming music, each platform will work for you. They have great playlists, they have a lot of the same songs, and you're going to be fine on either platform. But if you like new, unheard, upcoming music, Spotify is going to be the one for you there. Okay, let's move on to the next category of devices. Spotify versus Apple Music. You can use both these platforms on your mobile devices and laptops. Both have desktop applications and web applications and mobile native apps. So when it comes to the user experience of each app, both are really, really well done. Apple is just so prevalent and has just such a clean UX. Spotify also has a really, really nice design. So either way, when it comes to your mobile device, you can use both platforms on each. This is the difference. When it comes to voice platforms like Google Home, Alexa, Siri. So I have a Google Home, and I can't use my Google Home if I'm listening to Apple Music. The only platform that can hook into Google Home is Spotify. So that is one of the biggest reasons that I switched to Spotify, because I bought a Google Home. If you are an Apple user, you have an iPhone, you have an Apple Watch, you use Apple in your car, Apple Music is probably going to be the platform that is best for you, because it just syncs into the iCloud and everything is in one place. You can be in your car and you can say, play Michael Jackson, and you can also tell Siri in your kitchen to play Michael Jackson on your phone, so everything is going to be nicely in sync. Hey Siri, play Michael Jackson on Apple Music.
Sorry, I can't play that right now. Please try again later.
And she can't play that, obviously, because I don't have Apple Music. Let's try Google. Hey Google, play some Michael Jackson on Spotify.
All right, playing Michael Jackson on Spotify.
What song is it going to be? So there you go. When it comes to devices, there isn't a clear winner between Spotify versus Apple Music, but if you're an Apple user and you have an iPhone, Apple Watch, Apple Car, maybe someday, then maybe Apple Music is best for you. If you have a Google Home and you kind of like switch back and forth between Android and Apple, Spotify is probably the winner there for you. Cool, let's move on to the next category, which are artists. And this is a cool one to talk about, and it's not really a concern for the consumer to even think about. Actually, I don't even think many people know about it who aren't artists. So I'm a singer-songwriter myself, and I have my music on Spotify. I also have my music on Apple Music. The only reason that Spotify is in existence is from singer-songwriters putting their music on the platform. Apple Music, that as well, but also they are funded by Apple, which is a multi-billion-dollar company. Spotify just has music. So Spotify pays their singer-songwriters 0.006 cents per stream. So if I listen to 30 seconds of my own song, I get 0.006 cents. Apple Music, if you listen to one of my songs 30 seconds or more on Apple Music, I get 0.012 cents per stream. Both incredibly small. However, Apple Music pays their artists 2 times as much as Spotify, which at scale is a lot of money that they're giving back to the artists to produce more music. Spotify is paying a measly amount to their artists to produce music. Here, there's a clear winner that Apple Music is supporting singer-songwriters way more than Spotify is supporting that. At the end of the day, these platforms exist because of the singer-songwriters that are making the music to be on these platforms. Anyways, something that's not really going to affect the listener, but clear winner there for Apple Music, and something to think about when you're choosing a music platform to stream music from. The next very important category are features. Both platforms, Spotify versus Apple Music, have tons of features on each side. There are a lot of the same features and there are a lot of different features. So I'm not gonna go over every single feature that Spotify has and every single feature that Apple Music has, but I am going to touch on one feature that Apple Music has that Spotify doesn't, and one feature that Spotify has that Apple Music doesn't. One feature that Spotify has that's really cool for music listeners is this thing called crossfade. So basically a crossfade blends one song into another seamlessly so it doesn't have that awkward pause in the middle. So if you're at a party or even if you're just sitting at home, more or less though, if you're at a party and you want the songs to kind of blend to each other, kind of like you have your own DJ in your living room. Spotify can do that with a click of a button, and it can crossfade each song in a playlist, which is really cool for music listeners, especially if you're hosting a party. Something that Apple Music doesn't have yet. One feature that Apple Music has that Spotify doesn't is you can EQ the music coming into your headphones or speakers. Basically what that means is every track has low sounds, mid sounds, and high sounds. And Apple Music gives you the flexibility of changing the levels of the lows, the mids, and the highs into which and whatever you would like. This is something Spotify doesn't have. It's a huge feature for really passionate music listeners. Maybe you're listening to music on headphones and you really have a specific EQ that you like listening to your music. This is a really cool feature for that. Not a huge concern if you're just listening to pop music or you don't know that much about sound engineering. There are also a lot of other cool features on Spotify when it comes to the shareability of music. Like they have a really cool connection with Instagram where you can put a story and it gives a link right to your Spotify QR codes. I mean, Apple Music has QR codes too. The feature list is endless when it comes to Apple Music and Spotify. So I'm not going to go over every feature, but I think I'm going to crown Spotify as the winner when it comes to features because their features are more tailored to like the majority population of consumers and music listeners. For example, the crossfade versus the EQ feature in Apple Music is really tailored to a minority set of really passionate music listeners. Last category is price. This is a pretty quick one. Price is pretty simple when it comes to both platforms. Spotify versus Apple Music. Spotify has the $10 a month platform. Apple Music has the $10 a month platform. Both have family plans where you can get up to 5 accounts on a family plan. I think it's 5. And it's about $15 for each platform. The main difference here is Spotify has a free version and you can download the Spotify app and just listen to music for free, but you're controlled at skipping. I think you can only skip 5 songs and you have to listen to ads every 2 songs or so. And after a while, that gets really annoying and so you're more likely to pay. It's a great business model for Spotify just to gain that free audience and then upgrade them later to a paid account. Apple Music doesn't have a paid version, but they have iTunes, which you can store all the CDs and vinyl you have in your house on digital, and you can listen to Beats One Radio, which is free radio, and it has a lot of music, but it is radio, so there are some ads on there as well. So when it comes to price, both are basically the same, but Spotify has the huge up when it comes to gaining that free audience and then upgrading them to a premium account, which they got me from because I was listening to Apple Music at the time and I just decided to get a free Spotify account to see kind of what the features were like. And eventually they were giving me some music that I've never heard before that I was never getting on Apple Music. And so I got used to the really positive features that their service was offering and so decided to upgrade to premium and then downgrade my Apple Music account to nothing anymore. So, crowned winner Spotify for when it comes to prices. So if you haven't been tallying the crowned winners in each of the categories, when we compare Spotify versus Apple Music, the winner for me is Spotify. But with that said, when it comes to music, it is so subjective, it is so individualistic that everyone has their own needs, features, likes, and dislikes. And I think Spotify does a great job at taking a lot of those things that most people like and most people would want and putting them into a product. And so that's why I'm going to crown them as the winner in my comparison of Spotify versus Apple Music. Let me know what you think of this video. Let me know if you're more of an Apple Music fan or if you agree with this video and you are a very true, passionate Spotify fan. If you're interested in listening to my music, I can put a couple links up above here and in the description. And punch the subscribe button, please, and I will see you in the next video.